3, 2, 1, mark. Hey everybody, I am back with the second round of my recent Age of Sigmar tournament. If you did not watch the video for the first round, it was me versus Skaven, and you can check that video out on my same channel here. So this round was me against Mixed Order. I'm running the exact same list I was in the first round, obviously, which we'll run through here real quick. I have a Moonclan Grot Shaman, Savage Orc Big Boss, 3 Huskguards on Thunder Tusk with Talisman of Protection and Blood Ravens, 3 10-man units of Orcs with Champas, a 40-man block of Arrow Boys with my General and Bellowing Tyrant as the command trait, a Cunninruck Battalion, and a Bone Grins War Clan Battalion. Pretty self-explanatory list, shoots very hard. Has some screens, has a lot of numbers for scenario play, a little bit of melee with the Thunder Tusks, but not too much of that, mostly all about just putting holes in people. My opponent, as I said, was taking Mixed Order, mostly Seraphon. He had a Sunblood, who was his general with Reckless, and a Quicksilver Potion, a Skink Star Priest with Talisman of Blinding Light to try to keep him alive in the event that he gets charged, a Celestial Hurricanum with a Celestial Battle Mage to do some very nice mortal wounds and to buff the shooting of his army, a Bastiladon, because why not, 3 Skink Handlers with 3 Salamanders, a 10-man unit of Skinks with Bolt Spitters and Star Bucklers to hold on to their 6+ save for dear life, a 10-man block of Saurus Warriors, a 20-man block of Saurus Warriors, 3 Kurnoth Hunters with bows, a 5-man Chameleon Skink unit, 3 Ripperdactyls, and a Shadow Strike Star Host. So once again, this army is kind of doing some things that my army does not like to see. It can put some guys into my face pretty early if it needs to. Not as many as the Skaven player was capable of, but with probably a little more control and certainty, because the Shadow Strike Star Host is very reliable. Also packs quite a few guns. The Celestial Hurricanum is real nasty. Very happy that I have Talisman of Protections on my Thunder Tusk because they're probably his main target. Bastiladon, always pretty good and very difficult to shift, especially with Mystic Shield on, which he has 2 wizards to put on if he so chooses, and then 3 Salamanders, who I've not played against before, but they are pretty nasty if they can make their hits. The Celestial Hurricanum does buff their shooting to hit roll because they are order, and then they need 3s to wound, and they do d6 damage with a healthy Ren, so they can definitely put some holes into heroes, they can put some holes into hordes, and then they have a pretty decent range with the Skink Handlers as well, so not too shabby. The rest of the list is mostly just filling out the Shadow Strike Star Host and his battle line requirements. Definitely worried about the Ripperdactyls this game, as well as the Hurricanum, and of course the Kurnoth Hunter is one of the best units in the game. No surprise there. So those are the things that I'm worried about. Bastiladons are a little hit and miss. They have not the greatest shooting profile, and then 2d6 shots can be very good or very bad. They also have a very low wound profile, but they don't get worse as they take damage, so kind of a mixed bag there. But yeah, my focus this game was definitely going to be on protecting myself against that Shadow Strike Star Host and getting rid of that Celestial Hurricanum, and then seeing what we could do from there. This is going to start off deployment. We rolled up Escalation, which is a very strange mission for both of our lists. We both have quite a few monsters and artillery that are going to start way in the back. It's also very hard for me to unpack my army in Escalation because it's usually battle line in the front. Orcs or the Arrow Boys are in the midline, and they're quite a big unit, and then my monsters are relegated to the backfield. Luckily they do have guns, so they can kind of get up into the thick of things by turn 2, whereas if they were melee monsters, it would probably be quite a bit harder to do that. So same as last game, I start off with a Thunder Tusk, just kind of wanting to see what my opponent will do, and there's really nowhere the Thunder Tusk can go but as close to the center as they can, so they're a very safe drop to go first. Counters with a unit of 10 Saurus Warriors towards the right flank objective from my perspective. Drop my second Thunder Tusk. He puts his unit of Kurnoth Hunters down, so one of the units that I definitely want to handle is on the right flank, so I need to pay attention to that. Third of the super best friends goes down. Nice shot of them there. This is a little bit longer into deployment. I was forgetting to take some pictures back and forth, but this is my Arrow Boys set up along with the Big Boss and the Grot Shaman. I set up the Big Boss and the Grot Shaman so that they definitely could not be shot turn one by anything, because I don't want them going down, obviously. And I also was going to try and bunker up again to deny the Ripperdactyls from being able to get a tasty charge off into my Arrow Boys. So I also want to protect my heroes, so they're kind of in that little pocket corner there to get that done. This is the 20-man unit of Saurus Warriors. You can see the Bastillodon, Skink Handlers, and the Salamanders in the back there. I was very surprised that the Salamanders counted as artillery. Like I said, I haven't played against them before, but they do, so they're definitely in the back there. There's the Celestial Hurricanum going down kind of in the middle. Sunblood with his Saurus friends there. This is my bunker formation, so you can see I've made a conga line with my orc units. The dice are to denote where one unit starts and one unit stops, because, again, I've not had a chance to base them yet, so it's definitely a little confusing. So there is a spot in the back there where the Ripperdactyls can come down. It is a bit of a charge to get over the Thunder Tusks and into the Arrow Boys. Now, I have played against this Shadow Strike Battalion twice, I believe, and the Ripperdactyls are not as good into the Arrow Boys in my experience as people think they are. The Beaks are only good if you can get the Toad into the unit, which is going to be very difficult because of how I've placed my models. Going to be very difficult to get the Toad within range of the Ripperdactyls if they do make that charge, so not going to have to deal with too many Beaks proccing additional attacks against me. And then even if they do get in, I'm Bravery +2 because of my totems, so that would take me to 7, and then I'm likely to be left with, at least 30 models, because you have to deal 20 wounds to get through 10 Arrow Boys, and they do get to keep their 6+ save because Ripperdactyls do not have Rend, from what I recall. So I'm likely going to be a final Bravery of 10. So unlikely to take anything from Battle Shock, and then because of how I place my models, I will get to counterpunch the Ripperdactyls with maybe 2 Thunder Tusks, a bunch of Arrow Boys, maybe the Big Boss, quite a few things. So I should be able to get rid of them if he goes in. If he doesn't go in with the Shadow Strike Starhost on turn 1, it's a little dicier because I won't be able to protect them as much, but then I'll have Inspiring Presence, and again, I'm not super worried about them doing a ton of damage to that unit, so it was something where I decided to do what I could against them turn 1, but I'm not going to stay castled up past turn 1. This is the Skink Priest. He did his pre-game movement for the battalion. The Skinks there on the hill, they declined to do the pre-game movement. Just wanted to stay back a little bit. And there is the Toad placement. The Chameleon Skinks went down on the left. I did not get a picture of them, clearly going after that left objective along with the Saurus block and maybe the Sunblood? Well, who knows. So the Toad goes into my back lines there. There are the Chameleon Skinks. They move up and decisively take that left objective. Terrain this game, that piece that the Chameleon Skinks are on is mystical. We had 2 pieces of Inspiring, one on my side, and those rock formations were again Inspiring. I ended up playing on the same table that I did round 1, and then the hill that the Seraphon have is Sinister, so not anything too impactful for terrain in this game. I also had a damned hill, but it was quite deep in my deployment zone, so I'm not really going to get any use out of that this game. Ripperdactyls come down. My opponent decided to drop them and see what he could get from them. Saurus move over to the right objective. Obviously going to try to take that. Kurnoth move up to do some shooting. And most everything else just runs up. The Skink Handlers and Salamanders run up because they're out of range. Bastillodon is out of range, so he does the same thing. And the Celestial Hurricanum puts Mystic Shield on itself and then ended up running as well, just to try to get into range for next turn. The Riperdactyls ended up not rolling high enough to get into the Arrow Boys, so he decided to put a charge into the Thunder Tusk there. My green Thunder Tusk is also within 3 inches, so I'll get to kind of counterpunch with him, but nothing else was within pile-in range. So I ended up taking 3 wounds onto the blue Thunder Tusk. The green one piled in. In the combat, I left the champion of the Riperdactyls with 1 wound left. And then you can see in this picture, this is actually the top of my turn. The first thing I did was eat a mushroom with the Grot Shaman and put an Arcane Bolt into the Riperdactyl to finish it off. The reason I did that is because if I didn't, then I would not be able to move with Thunder Tusk without counting as retreating. And I did want to use the Blood Ravens just to pick off a couple things if I could. So I definitely wanted to free them up to move as far as they could. And then I just don't want to spare Riperdactyl running around in my back lines. I have to think about if the Arcane Bolt failed, I could have done the Cunning Ruck shooting into them, or into the Riperdactyl, which is hugely overkill. But since the Arcane Bolt ended up working, I get to use the Cunning Ruck battalion ability to instead move my Arrow Boys and push them up the board, which is extremely important. So this is kind of an overview of my army. After I've done some moving, the Grot Shaman is heading to the left just to kind of make some room for himself. He's not going to have probably too much to do this game, but I would like to try to get a Curse of the Bad Moon off in the center if he stays clumped up like that. Thunder Tusk did not roll very well for Rampage and Destroyer. Cunning Ruck movement and Rampage and Destroyer got the Arrow Boys really far up. The white unit of orcs in the front there got shot by the Kurnoth Hunters in the last turn. Forgot to mention that. Taking, I think, like, well, it looks like I have 9 there. Yeah, so I think 1 casualty and a wound. So he didn't roll very well with them at all. And then the other unit of orcs near the camera is just kind of going to the left. He ended up moving the Chameleon Skinks and the Saurus Warriors and the Sunblood over to the left objective. I didn't get a picture of that, sorry about that. So I kind of want to feign like I care about that objective, but in reality, the plan is to just ignore that one because he has so many points over there, and take the right and the center, and then kind of see what happens from there. But I'm going to like just take a 100-point chaff unit, push him over there, make my opponent think about something. You know, if he abandons it, hey, I can come swoop it from you, and you know, just make it interesting because I don't really have anything else to do with them. The green orcs are going up towards the objective. My goal was to get rid of the Kurnoth, of course, and to put some wounds into the Saurus Warriors, because Saurus Warriors, not particularly impressive in combat, pretty much the same as orcs. I have 2 wounds. He has an extra attack with a kind of middling profile. So if I put some wounds into them, the 10 orcs should be able to beat them down over time and hold the objective through weight of numbers. Other shot of my army, you can see the Saurus marched over there, the Sunblood ran, so he's quite consolidated on the left there, and I'm mostly pushing towards the middle and the right. This is my army post movement. Definitely holding back with the big boss. I actually measured so that he could not get in range no matter what with the Kurnoth Hunters, because Kurnoth Hunters will kill the big boss dead very easily. Moved everything up, kind of pushed the Thunder Tusk in sideways just to get his, you know, the extra inches that I can out of there, and then I'm just continuing to move everything. I got 1 orc unit onto the cover just so I can get a 5+ save on them, because why not? Put them both in range of the Inspiring Terrain, which is actually quite a good bonus for orcs against shooting. And then I'm just continuing with the plan overall. Here's another nice shot of my army, kind of looking out over it onto my opponent. This is post my shooting phase, so I ended up putting what I could from the Arrow Boys, a lot of them were out of range, into the Saurus Warriors and the Kurnoth. So I do 4 wounds to the Kurnoth Hunters, and then I think I killed a couple Saurus Warriors. I managed to get the Blood Ravens into them as well, which is good because there wasn't really a much better target for them, the Blood Ravens, and I can start whittling down that Saurus Warrior unit so that I can take the objective hopefully next turn. This is the middle. I also put some shots into the Skinks, killing a couple. They did have Starlight on them, so -1 to hit, but again, these are kind of throwaway attacks, so whatever I get out of them is worth having, so just killed a couple of them there. Nothing, or not enough from anything to force any kind of bravery or battle shock test because Seraphon are all bravery 10. We rolled for initiative after my turn. I lost the initiative, and the order decided to take it. I believe I lost every initiative roll this entire tournament, which was a little not so great, but we persevered. So the Seraphon, the Source Warriors are moving to claim that right objective there. Kurnoth just shuffle up a little bit. Mystic Shield goes on to the Hurricanum again, and Starlight goes on to the Skinks again. Inspiring Presence goes on to the big unit of Source Warriors, the 20-man block on the left-hand side there, and no one failed their mystical check over on the side there either. This is some shooting casualties, so he puts the Kurnoth Hunters into my Arrow Boys, as well as the Celestial Hurricanum gun, which did not roll super well. And I believe I lost some more models. This was after one. Yes, this is my final casualties. I lost 2 orcs from the front unit, 1 orc from the left unit, and 3 Arrow Boys, all told from I believe the Bastiladon, the Celestial Hurricanum, and the Kurnoth Hunters. So could have been a lot worse. The Bastiladon rolled pretty bad. Kurnoth Hunters didn't roll super great either. And then the Skinks were in range, I believe, but didn't do much because they're 5s and 5s, so they're not the most proficient shooters around. Let's see here. I believe that was the end of his turn. Yeah, he had no charges because he marched the Source Warriors at the top there towards the objective. The big block of Source Warriors, the Sunblood, and the Chameleon Skinks all hung out on the objective. The Chameleon Skinks moved up to do some shooting on the orcs. I think that's why I lost that 1 orc from at the bottom of the frame there, but nothing too bad from them either. So this is my turn. I managed to heal up the Thunder Tusk, I believe. He did take some wounds from the Ripperdactyls. I think that's what that picture is for. This is my Grot Shaman. He attempted a Curse of the Bad Moon into the Skinks there, managed to get it off with eating a mushroom, and then I positioned him just such a way with the destruction or the Rampage and Destroyer movement that the wizards were out of range to dispel, which was pretty close, about like half an inch off, but managed to get that done with a nice Rampage and Destroyer roll. Killed 3 Skinks, but did not roll the 4+ to affect anything else. I was in range of the Hurricanum, the Bastiladon, the Priest, the Skink Handlers, and the Salamanders, but I think I rolled a 3 for every single unit, so no other mortal wounds, but hey, he did his best, and killing the 3 Skinks is definitely a good start. This is some of my Cunninruck shooting. I managed to finish off the damaged Kurnoth Hunter with some incidental shots, and then I believe I put the other shots into the Source Warriors in the back there, killing a couple. Again, I'm largely out of range, so this turn I would need to move up and get more into range. This is after my movement phase. You can see I'm pushing forward with the Thunder Tusks and with the pretty badly shot up Orc unit. Their goal is to get into the Skinks and also just provide me numbers in the middle to take the objective. At this point I was down 3-0 because I lost the initiative roll, so my opponent was able to score all 3 objectives, which was a bit of a bummer. The Blue Thunder Tusk is kind of hanging out in the back. I'm having trouble unpacking him because of the Arrow Boys, and I also wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with him. I kind of kept him around to back up the Orcs against the Saurus Warriors because I really need to get that right objective, so he's sort of hanging back. And then my goal this turn is to wipe out some stuff in the center with the rest of my army. And this is post-movement, going up very aggressively with my Thunder Tusks and moving the Arrow Boys forward to get in range of more things. This is another angle of my army post-movement, and this is my opponent post-shooting. So I managed to put 2 Thunder Tusks into the Hurricanum, killing that with mortal wounds. Put some incidental shots into the Skinks, killing them down to 2. I believe I put the Saurus Warriors down to 1 model on the right because I really wanted to make sure I hold that objective, and then I didn't do much to the Kurnoth Hunters because without the Hurricanum and only 2 of them, they're not that scary, especially since my Thunder Tusks aren't really being threatened right now. This was a charge into the middle. The Red Thunder Tusk got into the Skink Star Priest, and my Orcs got into the two Skinks. So I started with the Thunder Tusk, managed to kill the Star Priest, which was awesome. So no more unbindings from my opponent, no more spells from my opponent, very good things. And then the Skinks withdrew from the combat, so the Orcs did not get a chance to hit them, but it did force him to withdraw away from the objective, giving me a really big numbers advantage there. Because I've now almost wiped out that skink unit, which was his kind of big holder for the center. So that objective and the right objective are mine, meaning that I got to score 2 points this turn. So now it's 3-2 in favor of order. So I'm definitely hanging tough in there. This is another shot of the combat and just kind of the general placement of things. Salamanders are very close to my lines, so they're going to get to do some work this turn. And there's the skinks falling back from the combat. Once again, lost initiative, just like I said. So this is just my opponent doing some measuring to start up his turn. He passes all of his mystical checks, was seeing if he was in range to do the command ability from the Sunblood, which I don't think would have mattered because I think it only affects Saurus units, but I don't remember the wording off the top of my head. But he's definitely looking to take out that Thunder Tusk and probably my Orcs this turn to take control back of the middle. Oh, and I guess there's only one Karnath Hunter over there, so I might have killed one. I believe I killed one Karnath Hunter for my shooting as well with the Arrow Boys. Just took a little bit, just forgot to grab a photo of that. So yeah, only one Karnath Hunter remains, which is the champion. There's another overview of the battlefield. You can see on the right-hand side there, I have control over the objective, and there's a lone Saurus warrior who moved up to attempt to charge into the orcs that I have. This is the chameleon skinks moving forward. Those two that fell down aren't actually dead; they just fell over. They're moving up to put some shots into the orcs, or maybe help out with the Thunder Tusk. Everybody is surrounding the Thunder Tusk and getting in range for some charges. Bastiladon is 3 inches out. Salamanders are 3 inches out. Thunder Tusk goes down. He gets shot by the Bastiladon, the Kurnoth Hunters, or the Kurnoth Hunter, and the Salamanders. Did not know that Salamanders did d6 wounds at that point, because like I said, I never played against them, and I was mostly just asking what things did. I would usually look it up, but we were a little pressed for time, and I was very hungry, so I kind of wanted to finish the game, win or lose. So yeah, they ended up taking the Thunder Tusk down. So he's all gone, but the orcs were spared some shooting, but they're probably going to take a nice charge there. And they indeed do. Bastiladon and the Salamanders get into them. I believe I took one casualty from the chameleon skinks as well into the orcs, so nothing too oppressive there. This is the Saurus Warrior charging into my orcs. Again, there's really nothing to do with that model, so I think charging in was a decent idea. You never know. Maybe I'll roll really badly. He'll roll really fire, and he could whittle down that unit and take the objective. Weirder things have happened, so I definitely approve of that game plan there. This is the pile-in. We ended up doing nothing to each other. We just flubbed all the dice, so not a very exciting combat there. I lose 3 orcs in the middle. Don't end up breaking because I believe I still had the inspiring bonus plus totem, so I'm like bravery 8. So yeah, I was pretty good there. I don't end up doing anything back to him because I only had a couple models left when I got to attack, so nothing really from me there. But I'm still holding the objective because I actually have the Thunder Tusk and I believe some of the Arrow Boys in range of the objective, whereas he had just the Bastiladon and 3 Salamanders. So I think I outnumbered him by like 1 or 2 models, which was awesome because that prevented him from scoring again. So he only got 1 point this turn, so that puts the score at 4-2, which is definitely in striking range for me. And this is some casualties. I believe this was the casualties from the combat. Just move them over. Okay, so this is my turn, I think. These might be a little out of order. I ended up killing one of the skinks with a Blood Raven shot, I think. This is overview of my army moving. So I'm moving the Savage Orcs on the bottom there up to the middle of the table to reinforce the objective and also to build a wall so that the Saurus warriors can't leave his objective on the left and come get into my army. And then I can also kind of help out with the charge onto the Salamanders or maybe onto the Bastillodon if I need some help finishing it off. Everything else is surging forward. I ended up putting I think an Arcane Bolt, or no, I think a Mystic Shield into the Arrow Boys this turn from the Grot Shaman. And then the Thunder Tusk, the Blue Thunder Tusk, slowly moving up into the game finally in the back there. This is just an overview of the combat that's ongoing. Yep, here's my army moved again. Okay, this is post-shooting. So as you can see, I've kind of consolidated my orcs there in the movement. This is actually in the charge phase. They charge into the Skink Handler. There's only one left. I managed to wipe out the Bastillodon, the Kurnoth Hunter, and the Salamanders with my shooting pretty easily. And then I believe I killed the last Saurus warrior as well that was trying to contest my objective just to get rid of him. The two skinks are still hanging out in the back there, but I'm not too worried about them. And then in the combat, I managed to kill that skink handler with my very shiny orcs. And this is the Saurus warrior still being alive, and then there he is gone. Again, I believe that was from shooting, but it might have been from combat. I don't exactly remember. And then this is my army at the end of my turn in terms of movement. So I'm spreading the arrow boys out to hold both my objectives in the middle and in the back there. The reason I put some in the back is just because the chameleon skinks can disappear and reappear if they want to. So I didn't want any kind of shenanigans where they get pulled off the board, they come back, they do a bunch of shooting wounds, and then maybe they take that objective from me because that's just totally not necessary. So yeah, at the end of my turn, we were 4-4, tied all, heading into turn 4. My opponent got the initiative again. From here, there wasn't that much action in the game, unfortunately. He did end up pulling the chameleon skinks off the board to try for like a turn 5 play onto one of my objectives, and then the Saurus warriors and the Sunblood just hung out on his objective. Didn't want to go into the middle. It would have been quite a long charge, and then he might not have scored anything. So he figured he would just hang down. I do have a few more pictures of the game. Just briefly talk through what happened. Basically, I ended up trying to hunt down those two skinks just to get them off the board, and then I moved my Thunder Tusks up to start putting some pot shots into the Saurus warriors. I could have definitely overwhelmed him on the objective to score again, but he only ended up scoring 1 point on his turn, and then I scored 2 points on my turn, so I was up 6-5. And then on the last turn, he won the initiative again, but by then I'd killed some of his Saurus warriors. There was no chance that he could take the either objective from me. He did end up putting the chameleon skinks down. They didn't do very much. I conga lined the arrow boys so that I had, I think, maybe like 15 models within range of both objectives, so way more than he could actually deal with. Yeah, this is the orcs charging the last skinks. They killed one, and then the one remaining ran out of combat again. I think I ended up nabbing him with a Blood Raven at one point, or maybe some spare bow shots or something. This is the conga line I built between the two objectives, so I have a ton in the middle, and then helping out with a few in the back there. And that is all the pictures I have. So yeah, I ended up winning it on turn 5, 8-6. Probably could have been more than that, but again, like I said, it was getting a little bit late, and the game was kind of decided, so I didn't see the point in rolling a bunch of attacks against his Saurus unit. Just to, there's no victory points. It was straight wins and losses for this event, so I didn't have to get any kind of secondary or tertiary score. So that ended up being a major victory for me as well. I got first place, nabbing myself a nice $100 in store credit for the league, which is very good. two pretty interesting games. Instead of having these battle reports go long form, what I'm going to do from now on is do a video that's kind of just the facts, which is this one and the round one game, and then I'm going to do another video where I give my thoughts on my opponent's lists, the games, things like that, break it down a little bit more in depth so that if all you care about is the battle report, you don't have to listen to me go on and on about the minutia of the game. But if you're interested in that, please definitely check out that video as well. Just don't want to make it so that people have to sit through an hour-long battle report and look at one slide the entire time. So thank you very much for watching. If you would like to hear me go into some detail about the tactics of the games, what I thought, what I planned, please watch the post-tournament video that I'll be putting up. And thank you very much for watching.